This is a video demonstration of the handout Say Mama, Your First Jazz Words, which you'll find at learnjazzstandards.com, which is a website put together by a friend of mine, Camden Hughes, and it's a great resource for jazz materials, how to practice and organize your practice routine. It's got things on transcriptions and videos and all sorts of chord sheets and things. So if you're not viewing this at the learnjazzstandards.com website, I'd strongly encourage you to check that out. If you are there at the website, this particular handout is available, and you can print that out and follow along. I'm just going to be demonstrating some of the things that are on. It's just a simple two-sheet handout, and one that I've been using in clinics for a while. I notice with younger players, most of the time, when I listen to them, I don't really hear the language. Sometimes they'll be playing correct notes, and they'll be playing the scales that accompany the chords, but they don't really have the turns of phrase and the types of language that you'll hear in jazz musicians playing. Most of the time, they're very small. They're one measure to two measure ideas, and that's what you'll see in this particular handout. This also touches on transcription a little bit, and there are several articles and some transcriptions themselves at learnjazzstandards.com, and different schools of thought about this particular technique. I myself have not really transcribed a lot of complete solos. My transcription has been more in this realm with small ideas, usually little licks and phrases. In fact, it was one of my assignments I had while studying with Lee Konitz. He himself kept a little notebook where he would, when he would hear something interesting in a recording, and he would come across some sort of particular phrase or something, he would write that down and started kind of a compendium of all of these different building blocks of solos. And essentially that's what this handout does, this demonstration, is just taking a couple little basic fragments, little ideas, and then putting them together, and at the end of the video I'll play them in a 12-bar blues in F. Just an example of some of the licks and phrases that you'll come across. I remember specifically working on a few of these. One of them was one that John Coltrane played in that Workin', Steamin', Relaxin', Cookin' series of the Miles Davis Quintet recordings that were done for Prestige. And I noticed he kept, Train tended to be a very ardent practicer, and he would be practicing out of harp exercise books and the Slonimsky scale thesaurus, and you can definitely hear when he's going through certain phases and is playing. Sonny Rollins was a little like this too, and you hear them using specific types of material over and over again. And on several of the different tracks and the solos, I kept hearing Coltrane play, and sometimes it would be predicated by a little lead up to it. So there it is in different keys. And it's very small. Usually these ideas are pretty compact little ideas. They're really kind of building blocks of the solos. And turns of phrases. Charlie Parker had several of them. You can run into them on the Omnibook all the time. And if you go through the Omnibook, sometimes you can actually see and catalog these different patterns when they come up. Again, sometimes there'd be an arpeggio up to it or a scale pattern up to it. Sonny Stitt had a couple patterns that he likes to do on the Mosaic CD box series of all of his recordings that he did. I think it was on Savoy. You'll hear at the end of his phrases many times. And when these players have these particular ideas, usually that's what you should be. I've even assigned students that before, giving them a couple CDs and said, here's the lick, I play it for them and never write it down, and say, I want you to find this. It's sort of like doing Where's Waldo or something. You're giving them an assignment to really get their ear so that they're listening for specific ideas, and if you know that it's in there and it's popping up several times, you know, it'll catch your ear, and that's usually the process, is you hear something, go, what is that? And then figure out how it's constructed, how it relates to the chord progressions and so forth. In the handout, in the same AMA, your first jazz words, I use a very basic one, ornithology, which was a line written by Charlie Parker to go with the chord changes of How High the Moon. And there's actually a method out called Jazz Hanon. The Hanon, if you've ever been in a choir, this is a type of warm-ups, you usually do, and they have those same type of things for piano. You can actually create that same type of idea, taking this and playing it in all the different keys. So that you're playing through all the keys and using it as a warm-up, kind of go through your scales, playing through all the major keys. If you actually do the first 4 bars of ornithology, you can actually practice major and then the parallel minor. Because it's 2 bars of the major and then 2 bars in the parallel minor. And Don Lamphere from the late great saxophone player and teacher from the Seattle area used to use that with his students. I watched him in a workshop do that before, where he had everybody play through the ornithology, first 4 bars of ornithology in different keys. So in the handout, if you've got it in front of you, it basically just lays out that lick, and then has an elongated version with a pickup. And it's really kind of endless, the amount of variations, because we're dealing with even variations. If you use the last half of that lick, which is, then there's a displaced one where you have a little pickup. And so once you get the basic idea down, then it's yours to play with and try to spin off as many and hopefully create something that's a little bit more unique by fragmenting it or elongating it. The second pattern that I have written is, I put in quotes, the mandatory 2 minor 7 lick. I think I've heard almost every player, irregardless of what type of style they play this particular lick, and this would be on the D minor, concert D minor 7. You're just basically running right up through the Dorian scale. So you hear that pattern quite a bit. I have an elongated version. That would be more of a 2-5-1, 2 beats, 2 beats, and then a measure. The next lick that I have there, so there's I think 4 altogether. The third lick is what I call the hard bop blues lick. You hear this a lot on the Blue Note recording artists, Lee Morgan, the guys who played with Art Blakey and the Jazz Masters and so forth. This is actually in the key of B-flat concert. It's based on the blues scale. And it's actually, I think, a lot better working on this type of material than just parroting the blues scale. This particular lick you've heard a lot. And on the handout I actually have all of the degrees of the scale listed there, so you know what part of the blues scale they are. It's really preferable to that. There's your blues scale, concert B-flat blues scale. That's what you tend to get younger players doing, just running up and down the blues scale instead of playing specific ideas, that's really what generated the blues scale. Is a tune like Bag's Groove, and Sunny Moon for Two. Those tunes really came before the blues scale. The blues scale is really more of a tool to be used. And so here's some of the other ideas that I write out. Compressed version of that. One with the triplet. And again, it's kind of endless once you get the down. The very last idea that I have on the handout is I call the Bop Triplet. And you hear this a lot in Charlie Parker's playing, a lot in Dizzy Gillespie's playing, the guys from the Bop era. Usually it's based off of the 3rd and the 7th of the particular key you're in. In the key of C, it would sound like, or first one off of the 3rd, and then an 8th note variation. That's basically the bop triplet idea. So those are all of the ideas. And what I'll do on the next video, I'm going to have to break this into 2 different sections, is I will play the transcription that's on that Say Mama, Your First Jazz Words, and to kind of show you some of the ways that you can take these particular licks and use them.